So our organization and our team's HR organization was reading probably the same articles you were earlier in the year about the Great Resignation. And we were concerned. The flags raised for us, the way it probably did for some of you as well. One of the challenges for our organization, however, is that we have a very stable workforce. We have had a very stable workforce. So we, being in the Madison community, we've had a great deal of tenure within our organization. So we were also saying, well, gee, is this Great Resignation going to affect us? And we said, well, we really should be aware of what's going on in the marketplace because, as we know, things have changed quickly in the last several years and continue to evolve. And we want to say, how can we continue creating a great employee experience? And most importantly, continue to build on our great work around in DE&I and retaining our women leaders. That was one of the signals for us as we read in the articles, and maybe you read it too, is one bullet point that stuck out to us is that there was a anticipated high turnover among women leaders.
Right. So I want to involve the entire audience in this, and including the speakers on the panel. Janice, I love your views on all of this from the healthcare perspective, because healthcare is really suffering from the Great Resignation. But just in short, so many of you are familiar with the research that went into love them or lose them. And the questions that got us to the research was not why do you leave, but why do you stay? Which one for you personally is most important to your own engagement?
Well, I think a lot of organizations that I've worked with over my 30 years doing this work, there's a feeling often that there has to be a very formal mentoring program, right? With a very formal contracts, and you have to commit to a certain number of hours. And I think those can be helpful for specific points in time or specific reasons. Most mentoring happens, I think, organically in organizations when you find somebody that has some information that you need, or somebody whose style you like, or somebody who you want to develop their similar expertise, or you see somebody who that you could help. And I think most of it happens more informally. And I think that organic, more informal piece I have seen in my career often is the richer experience for people.
Which is relationships. And I wonder, which one of these do you have a knee-jerk response that it's most connected to psychological safety?
I would pick understanding.
Huh?
I want to be sure that my manager engages me so I feel understood, that I can contribute. I think it's some of the academic research that you and I were talking about yesterday, right, has a lot of, that inclusion factor that managers need to create that environment so that employees can feel like their voices are heard, and that plays a lot in psychological safety.
I love this conversation. This is such an important topic. Our program, which, just to give a little context, is focused on developing foundational leadership skills for new managers. And we ask people we kind of introduce three lenses of leadership. The first is psychological safety. The second, communication, clear and effective communication. The third, alignment. And so we start, the foundation for the other two is in safety. But most people, and I think it's true for most of us too, before we started to really dig into this, and I think Amy Edmondson really popularized the topic, didn't even necessarily reflect on what safety looks like and feels like in times that we felt safe or didn't feel safe. And that translation is really required. So a focus on behaviors is important, but so too is a focus on what are the signs and signals of safety?
Right.
What does it look like to feel safe within your team? So that's been helpful.